corporal punishment. There was this video that I saw. It's actually pretty heinous. It was like this this principal is just like spanking this child, and the vice principal or some school administrator is just like making sure she's bending over. It's pretty fucking crazy. Um, yeah. Was did like
This is not in the U.S., right?
no, this is in like Georgia or some shit. Like in
This is not illegal, is it?
apparently it is still legal by schools in some southern states. Um, so wait, full context of the story. The um the child had like I don't know, broken or scratched like a computer screen or something,
So they
and
paddled them for it.
they paddled him for it, yeah. And they like brought the parent in. The parent was literally recording, I think, and just watching her child get beaten up. And she couldn't really do anything because like part of the story is she is like a immigrant, so her English
Uh,
was not very good, or maybe she didn't even speak English. Uh, that's
so she
probably
just
not
let it
true.
happen instead
Like
of
she,
intervening.
I mean, she probably didn't know what to say to like stop it from happening if she doesn't know
You
how
would
to
just be
speak
like, no,
English.
no, 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 no. I mean, that's a pretty universal word, I think,
That's true.
in
Or, but I don't
European
know. There's
languages.
like two people there and they're doing their thing, like spanking the child. So
Yeah, but it's your child.
that's true. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to judge her for what she did. Okay, maybe if that was my child, yeah, I'd be pretty mad and I probably would try and intervene. But I don't want to like assume anything of the parent, not knowing like the full circumstance, right?
Mhm.
So, um, well, that was like the main story. The main thing that I was curious about is the part where the mother doesn't like speak English, or like not very well. I was thinking like if you want to immigrate to a country, shouldn't it be like a prerequisite that you speak that language country? That was my initial thought. But then when I was
Uh,
thinking about
are you
it,
talking about the U.S.? Like, wait, the
I
U.S.
was
does not have a
thinking
language.
I know. This was like initial thoughts, right? And then the more I thought about it, I was like, I think there's plenty of people that like immigrate to other countries where the company, I don't know, still speaks in English or something, but they move to that country to work in that location. It doesn't mean that they have to know particularly that country's um, language to move there. Um,
Well, you
and
don't have to be immigrant. You don't have to be like a citizen, right?
right, so that's like a distinction, right? If you want to become a citizen, do you think you should know, like, it should be a requirement?
Um,
Like if somebody wanted to be a citizen of the United States, should they like have to pass? I know the US doesn't have an official language, but de facto it is English. So like should they have to like pass some English test to be able to become a citizen?
I don't know, bro. If you can be a productive member of society and not speak the language, then I guess not. If you can't, then maybe you should. I don't know if you should or not. It's not really something I have an opinion on.
Okay. I'd seen this in like a Europe subreddit where they had this kind of poll. They asked like a number of questions to citizens of like different European countries about what kinds of things should people that want to be citizens of their country be able to do, and like some of them were like speak the language or know the history or understand the culture or like some other questions, right? And very
Mhm.
commonly, like more than the majority for like basically every country said you should know the language to become a citizen of
Yeah, I mean,
that
if you
country.
okay, so if you are of the opinion that in order to become a productive member of society, you have to know the language that everyone speaks, which I mean, I guess is kind of a natural assumption. Then yeah, sure, I guess, but that kind of goes against the like American values or whatever a little bit because
What are the American values?
I don't know, like the very first thing that It's like in the Bill of Rights is the freedom of speech, which you kind of discriminate against that if you can't be a citizen unless you speak English. But I don't know, that's kind of a stretch, and like the law isn't really applied evenly that well. Um, so I don't know, bro. What do you think? Do you think you should learn English in order to immigrate to the U.S. as a citizen?
Yeah, I think so. Um,
Mm.
like I think so, but what I'm hazy on is like the level of English. Like you probably don't have to be fluent or even that good as long as you can like communicate, right? Um, like if you know enough, because I'm assuming citizenship tests. Actually, maybe they have them in different languages.
I think they do have them in different languages.
Okay, that kind of defeats the point. I was gonna say, okay, if you can do a citizenship test in English, then I think you're fine. Like, you don't have to have a super good understanding of English, but if you're able to understand like questions like that and answer it, I think you have like more than enough good understanding of English at that point. Does that sound fair, or what do you think?
I guess. I mean, like, okay, think about it. Let's say you came here, all right, and um, I don't know, you like opened a taco stand or something, right? Like a taco shop. I don't know. You don't speak any English. You just like make tacos. And you sell them. Yeah. And you do that for a while. You make some money, pay your taxes. You like buy or like you rent out a nicer, bigger place. You like grow your business. You live your life. You do that for like 20 years, and you don't actually learn any English. Okay, you just make the tacos, and it works out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you deserve to be a citizen? Right? You lived here. You've contributed to the economy, society. You fed the people for 20 years, and you
Okay.
don't know how to speak English.
Well, yeah, you're like contributing to the economy, right? But I feel like that's all you're doing. You're not engaging with the country particularly. Like being a citizen is like being involved with the country.
So, are you not a part of the country? I mean, like you. I mean, surely you formed some opinions about Mister whoever's up there in the chain of command. You're a business owner, okay? So you have some incentive in how the taxes are handled. I mean, levied and um, like I'm sure you have some social opinions too. It's like you can. There's definitely things that you can engage in where you live. Right, hey, you're there. You've lived your life for 20 years in this place. To say that you aren't a member of the community is kind of,
I also think if
uh,
you've lived there for 20 years and you have a taco shop and customers are coming in, are these all these customers going to be non-English speaking as well and like don't speak
well, I
English
don't
to
know.
you?
I mean, maybe your like kid can be a translator, or you hire a
Right.
translator or something.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Like I don't have a counter
So
argument
they should
exactly
be
to what you're saying.
denied citizenship because they don't speak the language, despite having.
Yeah, like I even with that description, because I feel like what you're saying is contingent on being a citizen is contributing to the country, like I don't know, through your
Okay,
economics.
then what is it? What does it mean to be a? Okay, it doesn't have to be economic though. I mean, that was just an example. I think because the economy is like everything, right? Anyway, um, like that was just an example. You were still you've lived here for 20 years. Okay, you've been. I mean, surely, possibly, you should have a say in the way things are run. Do you disagree?
Well,
Do you say that person does not deserve representation in the place he lives and has lived for more than half of his life?
hmm. I just find it hard that if you've lived there for 20 years, like
Okay, just say people don't learn English. It's possible. Like if you have your kid translate everything for you, you don't learn it. And all the media you consume is in whatever Zimbabwean. And then what do you do? Zimbabwean is not a language, I don't think.
uh, okay, so I guess my definition of a citizen is someone who can, like, someone who can contribute. Okay, maybe it is similar to what you said, where it's they can contribute to like the greater good of the country. What the part that I'm like stuck on is the examples you gave are good,
They were
and they're like,
contrived. I mean, I had to come up with something, some situation where you wouldn't speak the language, obviously.
yeah. And
But
what I was thinking in general with this definition is most things that you do to contribute to a country is like if you're not speaking English, you're not like engaged with the general culture. I feel like of the home
okay, so
country.
you're saying that you should assimilate into the culture?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like that's like a requirement to be a citizen, right?
Okay.
If you're a citizen, you're like a member of this country's community, right? So you should assimilate into it. You should adopt the country's values.
Really? Okay, so the Judeo-Christian values that are the foundation of this country. So everyone should convert to Christianity too.
Except that's not like there's like no official religion or
Oh, there's no official language either, though, right? So
yeah, that's true. But it's very difficult to um I guess if you fully engage with other Americans that are non-English speaking. But then, see, I never thought about this, so I don't
do
have
they
a good
not say that
argument.
diversity is our strength?
Is
Or
restraining?
haven't diversity is our strength?
Is our strength?
They also do say that diversity is restraining, I guess. Some people do say that. But that's not what I said just now.
Okay, what about
uh,
diversity is our strength?
well, you're saying that they should forsake their. Uh,
Well, it's not forsake. You can still keep it, but you should also think and believe in
they should think
the
and act like an American as defined by what I think an American is. And that
or
is like
not
a
what
different.
I think in the like what the
That is what you're saying, though. That's what you think an American is. An American is someone who speaks English, has these values. You need to check these boxes to become a citizen.
okay, yeah. Because
Okay,
that's what I think, yeah.
so um, then I guess if that's what an American is, then that's what it should be.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
just my opinion on it. Like I feel like it's important, though I don't know how much, though. I don't know.
but how is the language of value, though? I don't see. I don't follow that train of thought. You should
Because it's
align with the values of the country, and the language is one of them. Why is that?
because it's very difficult to um interact and assimilate and build these connections with other members of the country without knowing the predominant language.
Should he be allowed to live there?
To live there, yeah. I'm saying like as a citizen. Like of course you can
So you
immigrate
should
and
not.
stuff.
Okay, but then there's the issue of representation in government. So you're saying that they should not have any representation in government, even though they've lived here for so long.
Um well, because if they don't know the language and they don't know how government is run, which is all in English, like
Well, no, that's not true. Be okay. Maybe the language spoken in the Congress is English. Um, but if you look at any government form, any like you can get it in other languages. Okay, it's possible. Like I mean, it's mostly in Spanish because that's like the vast majority of people who don't speak English in this country speak Spanish. But like it's not impossible. I mean, you could have studied the American comparative government in like school. Like, it's not impossible that you don't know how the government works.
Okay.
Like, you can, yeah. I mean, you can vote in a different language too. It's like that's a thing. Um, no, I don't buy that you won't know how the government works because you don't speak the language that the government is running. Like I can conceivably know how the French government works without speaking French.
Right. Okay. I don't.
And anyway,
I
you don't
wasn't
actually
meaning
know.
to say something. I wasn't meaning like that kind of meaning. Um, Let me clarify what I was trying to say. I'm trying to think.
And if you're trying to make the point that you won't understand the positions of the people who you're trying to vote for,
Yeah, I know.
because
You
all
can
of their
still get
positions are in English,
translations and stuff.
have Joe Biden had a Spanish YouTube channel. All of his campaign stuff was translated into Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the issue, of course, of I mean, I don't know if it's an issue, but it's something to consider. Large pockets of the population, like little communities being formed, like Chinatown or something, or like Little Mexico or something, where they form their own identity and don't assimilate. What some countries are doing about this, like Denmark. I remember I read an article a little while ago. Is they're like putting caps on the percentage of a neighborhood that can be um, like non-European,
Mm. Wait,
and
so
so
so like those kinds of communities can't form?
exactly that's what they're doing it for.
Hmm.
It's to promote assimilationism. Um,
Okay.
it sounds
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
okay.
it's because like Denmark, I think the unique state of the United States is that it's such a melting pot in that it's also very young, so there isn't like an established culture or like there is kind of like a culture, but it's not as established as like I don't know European countries who have been around for like hundreds of years
Hundreds. Well,
more than I mean some of them are newer, I guess, but I don't know, like the UK, not the UK. That's recent, but like,
it's not recent. It's just a continuation, bro. The way
okay,
that
yeah,
country,
that's what
like
I meant, like
that
a
state has
continuation.
existed.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's what
like
I meant. Like,
no, that state has existed for like 1,000 years.
right. So I think with those, they have more of they believe an obligation to kind of protect their what they've been doing before,
They have
and
an obligation.
like they don't want it to be lost, right? And if they feel, at least this is what I think, if you have like these pockets of people, um, then there's like a chance that citizens are now not adhering to kind of how it was, what citizens were like in the states before. And I
So
don't think that's a problem in the United States because we didn't really have it before as much because it's only been around for like 200 years.
yeah, but the people in there come from societies that have been around for many, right? They came with values that are very old,
Yeah.
like their religion, for example,
Uh huh.
and their language also is extremely old.
Right.
uh, so it's not like it's a young culture. It's a mix of very old cultures, and plus like McDonald's.
I don't think that's a culture.
Oh yeah, the cuisine. That's definitely part of culture, bro.
Well, I don't think that's a very old culture. It's like,
Yeah, that's why I said it's a mix of old cultures plus McDonald's.
oh, okay. Um, I forgot what I'm supposed to be. Is it the Denmark one or the? I mean, for the Denmark one, it seems weird from my perspective, but I can kind of think like if I was a native Denmark person whose ancestors have all lived in this area for a long time, then I would like be in support of such a policy.
Okay. So you can understand why people would feel that way.
Yeah.
Should people feel that way? That's what the question is.
I think I think well, yeah, I think they can if they want, and I don't think
Why can they if they want to? Because they live there and they're the majority of the population, and so if they
yeah,
want that, okay.
I feel like
Well,
it's
white
as
people
simple
were the
as that.
majority of the population at some point, and they made it basically illegal to be black. Was that the right choice? Most of people say no, that was not.
Which one? South Africa? What were you saying?
The United States of
Oh,
America.
United States. Okay.
Um, I mean, it's a very, very common worry of representative government, right? The tyrannical rule of the majority. This is this is like this is like the primary issue with democratic society.
So,
You can have a majority that makes something that's very much not in the interest of a minority and is also inhumane and ethically wrong and morally wrong. Just because the majority feel that way, you can understand why they might feel that way. It doesn't mean that it's right.
yeah, it might not be right, but then it would be up
Because
to other, like, outside forces or the
what do you mean outside
opinion.
forces?
Okay, so, like, it would either be what I was saying for outside forces is if, like, Denmark decide to do that, right? Then other countries in the EU that, or just around the world, that feel like that's not good because it's not, then they would, like, I don't know, put international pressure on that. And then hopefully that would change. And the other way I would think is there would
No,
be
no, we're not
like,
saying that what the natural course would be, though, right? We're saying what should the
well, okay, yeah, but
we've outlined the problem, right? Like
okay, so
people.
what should happen? I still think like the even though something really bad could happen, like with the majority, how would you assess something is bad? Because that's like subjective to everyone.
Exactly. So that's what I'm asking you.
So I don't
What do
think
you
you
think is
I
good or
don't
bad?
I don't think you can like properly say that. So I would
No, no,
still
I'm asking you your opinion.
on
Do
which
you
one?
think that
The Denmark
um
one? Is
okay,
it
yeah,
good or bad?
I guess that's what we were talking about before. So
Okay.
Denmark is a good thing. Is it good or bad? You said earlier that
Okay,
it was good.
from my perspective, I
Mm-hmm.
think it would be bad as a American, but I don't think like
No, I
they have
mean
to
more
change it.
generally, as should a society, right? Some, I guess you can say, ethnically homogeneous society uh, that is currently experiencing an influx of immigrants from a pretty drastically different culture. Force assimilation in this way, or is it in their interest to force assimilation?
Uh so
And
I
that
think
ties it back to the language question also.
yeah,
Would they
so
be?
I think this is like dependent on kind of your own country's history, which is why I would say for like a as a Denmark person, I would maybe say yes. And then for an American, I would say assimilation is probably shouldn't be forced, but like, which probably
So
contradicts
why
what I
is
was
it
saying
more
about the
in the interest
language.
of Denmark? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
Because
you. Continue.
like the reason why I think it's more in the favor of Denmark is because it's like a nation state in that it's more like the people there are already more homogenized and they have like a history of doing things and like an established with the majority. And I feel like this is a lot less of the case in the United States.
Okay, so sure, it's a different situation. Maybe requires a different solution. Um, All right. Now, why is it that um, it's I think it's very off topic. I think return to the language issue in the U.S. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, so in the U.S., we have a long established culture for many hundreds of years, dating back to the 17th century.
Many hundreds. It's like 200. But yeah.
17th century was like
Oh, 17th
400 years ago.
century. Well, then that's not the United States anymore, is it?
Same community, right?
Is it? Like, are you saying
Continuation
the
of
people living in the area that we now say the United States?
okay. The people living in the United States have so governments are like a sham, right? Like they just come and go. It doesn't really mean anything. Okay. Like the
Okay.
French, like they changed government like 7 times in the last 200 years. Okay, we always called it France. All right,
Okay.
China changed government like a bajillion times.
Yeah.
We always called it China. Okay, it's like doesn't mean anything. Right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just because the United States of America as a country has only existed for 200 years doesn't mean that like this has been a thing for 200 years. All right,
Okay.
so in its roots, right, we have English for the past like 400. Right, it doesn't even matter. Okay, 200 is a long time. Okay, that's enough for several generations to pass.
Okay.
English has been long established. This is a homogenous culture in terms of English, right? Vast majority of the people in the country speak English. That
Yeah.
is how business is conducted. That's how government is conducted. That's how information is disseminated. All right. So basically, we are a Denmark of English, right? Everyone speaks English. So you're saying that the same
Okay.
thing applies to us, right?
At that point, yeah. Well, I think like the change is in how America markets itself. Like when we established ourselves as a country, um,
Right.
where
No, but this is more than a PR stunt, right? This is this is how a society should be run, right? How what is the best way to run a society? That's what we're saying, right? Do you think that it is in the society's best interest? Forget land of the free, home of the brave, Bill of Rights, this and that. Is it in the society's best interest to force um, immigrants to speak the
speak the
same
same
language?
language? Um, okay, wait. When you say force, does it mean like
In
what
order
is
to, in exchange for like granting rights, I guess.
in exchange for granting rights?
I think that's what citizenship is, anyway, right? Just
Yeah. I'm still inclined to say yes
okay. So you
because
should not be equal under the law if you do not speak English, is what you're saying. Then also,
at face value, yeah, I think so.
okay, I disagree.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think people should be denied rights for
Okay.
just because they speak a different language. That doesn't make sense. They should not. They should be able to have a say in how their lives are handled by the government.
Okay. Why don't you like explain it from your perspective then?
Okay, I mean it's very simple. I mean basically what I just said. You have your taco stand for 20 years. All right, you've lived in the U.S. You wave your little American flag, woohoo. Um, and then I don't know. Say you're like very conservative, right? And then you like hate Joe Biden, okay? Because you want to like you don't want to pay taxes, all right, on your little taco stand, okay? You can't vote for Mr. Trump, Mr. Trongus, um, because you don't have the right to vote. And why don't you have the right to vote? Because you don't speak English. So despite the fact that you have economic interest in the U.S. And the fact that you've been a part of the community for like an extremely long time, um, you shouldn't have the same rights as me, who sits on my ass all day and doesn't do anything but consume. Who's actually been here in this country for less time. I've only been here for 19 years.
Okay.
And contributed nothing. Actually, less than nothing. I have only consumed and not done anything. Yeah, you're saying that I deserve more rights than Pedro down the street that runs Las Palmas or something.
Okay. That's convincing.
I didn't really have an opinion until just now, by the way. I like made this up.
I mean, I think what you said, the way you framed it, it makes sense. I don't have the good arguments for just the feeling that I have. And because what you said makes sense and it's not fair with like the example you gave. So
I agree. Maybe you should know how the government works. But you don't need to speak English to know how the government works. Maybe you should know a little bit of the history of the country also. Also don't need to speak the language to do that.
that's true. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have any good arguments, so
Nice.
I'm curious like what arguments people actually do have who actually thought about like why.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they lost, right? These languagists.
Well, in the United States. Well, actually, I guess all over the country. I don't know how other countries operate.
But they have official languages. That's
okay, but with countries with official languages, do you have to countries with official learn?
I think you do probably have to pass a language proficiency test. That sounds like a thing you should do. I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, you're right. It's hard to contribute to society also if you like are completely orthogonal to their country, their culture and values or whatever.
That's what I was thinking, like trying to say in words, because your example makes sense, but it seems so outlandish that you have.
No, I think it's totally possible to run a taco stand without speaking English. I think that's like.
Yeah, but I think it's like it's the exception, like.
No, I honestly don't think so. I think there's a lot of taco stands out there where the owners don't speak English. I think that's extremely possible. I mean, like maybe they know how to say like chicken and like beef and the food stuff, right? I think that's extremely possible. I mean, well, not just like the taco stand. I think that's a very common thing. I don't know. I mean, seasonal workers, maybe not, since they like migrate back.
I'm looking online. Most countries, not for immigration, usually for naturalization. Canada and the USA come to mind immediately. The US has an English proficiency requirement for most people who naturalize.
Oh, really?
Canada requires you be able to speak English or French as a condition for acquiring citizenship. I mean, it says for most people, so maybe your situation could still occur. But I'm thinking like,
No, I think when it says most people, this is completely a guess. But if you're like Ronaldo or whatever, okay, well, that's a bad example because I think he speaks English. But
if you're like a special person,
yeah,
who
if you're
really
like
contributes,
like a billionaire, then you get like a fast pass to citizenship. Yeah, that's. I think that's what the most is.
They have a chart, and the United States is not on it. What? Oh, U.S. English language. Okay, maybe the English does. There is a language requirements for common citizens without marrying local citizen. Seems like U.S. does have an English language requirement.
Yeah, I guess if you're married to that also, like a mail order bride kind of thing.
So I guess like that is if that's the system that is in the US right now, then
So the languages have one.
yeah, and you think that's unfair then? Because like according to your because like the example you gave, that makes
I mean, the
sense.
example is also extremely contrived. I mean, maybe that's actually not the
I
case.
mean that's kind of like what I was trying to say in words because it could happen, right? And maybe you were saying
Hmm.
like it could well maybe a lot of people are like that, but the general idea is like it's way harder to do all of these things. Where you were giving examples, there are avenues like through translation. You can understand all these things. You can still contribute and understand all the values and like I don't know, like do all of that stuff. But it's a lot harder if you don't know the language that
Yeah,
everybody
that's a good point.
does.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, it's a pretty ill formed opinion. I think. I just kind of came up with it. I was mostly doing it to counter what you were saying, so that we could have like an interesting conversation.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Um,
I'm really bad at debate, so I didn't have really any
yeah, I'm
points.
also pretty bad. Most of the things I said, I think, kind of had a lot of holes in them. See, I'm really bad at using words too, bro. I just make up for it by saying more words.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm
um,
even worse in that I couldn't find the right words to.
I mean, I didn't say that my words were right. You know, I found some words to say. It's easy to find some words, but politicians do too.